This season, across the wide rolling hills, locals constantly face the threat of wild boar herds rampaging through their crops. Cornfields and sweet potatoes, just barely grown, are churned to mud, leaving behind nothing but worry and loss. That's exactly why our team set out today. Armed with rifles and all the gear we needed, we headed straight up the hillside, believed to be a hot spot for these wild beasts. The silence was eerie, broken only by the soft crunch of our footsteps over dry leaves. Would this hunt on the mountain slope be enough to restore peace to the village? Positions set, the team held their breath in anticipation. There they were. A herd of wild boars suddenly appeared, dashing swiftly right before us. Wasting no time, I raised my rifle and fired. Bang! One dropped instantly. Almost simultaneously, teammates from other directions joined in. The crack of gunfire echoed as another boar fell. The herd scattered in panic, running in all directions. A tense start. With so many of them, do we have what it takes not to be overwhelmed? Come along and find out with us. From another ambush spot, my teammate swiftly raised his rifle. The moment the wild boar herd charged into our sights, a burst of bullets ripped through the air. Another target went down, sending the pack into even greater chaos. Hunting in rugged hillside terrain like this is no easy feat, but with grit and hard-earned experience, we handled the situation cleanly and flawlessly. No prey gets away, my captain ordered. The whole team quickly recalculated our strategy and spread out to track down any stragglers. There it was, a shadowy figure trudging right ahead of me. Not missing my chance, I squeezed the trigger. Bang! The bullet flew, but the target suddenly twisted free. Undeterred, I pulled the trigger again. This time, the beast went down right on the spot. See, these wild boars are cutting out here. But of course, beneath my barrel, it had no choice but to fall. Suddenly, a sharp gunshot echoed across the hillside. It turned out my teammate on the left flank had just fired into the air. He'd spotted a lone wild boar scrambling for an escape route among the jagged rocks below. But unlucky for that boar, it walked right into the sights of a seasoned marksman. With a single, clean shot, its desperate dash came to a decisive end. We pushed forward to another ridge, hearts set on tracking down every last target. Suddenly, a rapid pounding echoed against the dry earth below, a sure sign trouble was near. I swung my rifle down. Out of the bushes, a massive shadow burst forward like it aimed to tear the very air apart. Bang! The fatal bullet struck true, hitting the weak spot. The beast staggered, plunged its head down, and lay motionless right there. Run, I thought to myself. The gun's smoke hadn't even cleared when suddenly, out of the bushes ahead, a massive wild boar charged straight at my teammate. I didn't flinch. Without hesitation, I squeezed the trigger. Bang! The beast dropped instantly, its heavy body crashing onto the dry earth. You see, in moments this intense, only calm nerves let a hunter pull the trigger in time to take down the prey at the golden moment. At the end of our hunt on the hillside, our team had taken down numerous threats, protecting the crops and the safety of the local community. Every tense moment and hard-earned victory was captured on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Most importantly, the entire journey took place within a fully licensed area, strictly adhering to all legal regulations. If you found this adventure thrilling, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next adrenaline-pumping hunting videos. Wild boar hunting has long been an essential part of life for many hunters. It's considered an effective way to protect crops and control one of the most destructive wild animals. Each hunting trip usually starts early in the morning and can stretch into the late afternoon, demanding patience, tight coordination, and sometimes a bit of luck. The chaotic barking of hunting dogs echoed across the empty field, and instantly catching the hunter's attention. Without hesitation, he followed the sound and just minutes later spotted a wild boar that had strayed into the crops. Trailing right behind were two fierce dogs, relentlessly harassing and cornering the boar. The situation was a golden opportunity. But the first shot didn't end the chase. The boar reacted in a flash, darting away with surprising speed. Drawing nearer, he found his moment. The wild boar collapsed on the spot, bringing a heart-pounding pursuit to an end. Wild boars are currently among the most dangerous invasive species in many countries, especially in the United States, Australia, and parts of Europe. With an extremely fast reproduction rate and devastating destructive power, these animals are estimated to cause over $2.5 billion in damages each year in the US alone, particularly in agriculture. They are highly intelligent, adapt well to various environments. Hunting dogs and firearms remain some of the most effective tools in rapid response eradication efforts, helping to temporarily reduce wild boar populations in hotspot areas. A dramatic wild boar hunt is unfolding in the rugged lands of Anadolu, led by a team of seasoned professional hunters. Wild boars are known for their speed and incredibly sharp reflexes. Then the gunshot breaks the silence, tearing through the still air. The wild boar takes a direct hit, writhing in pain. It's a moment that showcases an astonishing level of precision from the hunter. Hunting wild boars is no different from a real-life survival game. Seasoned hunters are like master-level gamers, facing off against a tough opponent, wild boars that are fast, numerous, without calm nerves and sharp judgment. Hitting your mark becomes nearly impossible. And yet, these hunters can bring it down with a single deadly shot. Like the elite skills of a top-tier gamer, but this isn't a simulation. This is 100% real, where every decision leads to a real consequence. Across the vast open field, the hunters set out once again, accompanied by their loyal, battle-hardened hunting dogs, but this time, the mission goes beyond just hunting. Their goal carries a greater purpose: to protect the cornfields, now heavily ravaged by wild boars. A wild boar was fleeing in panic, a desperate sprint to escape the relentless pursuit of the hunter. Every step it took was soaked in fear, but that hope was fleeting. A single gunshot rang out swift, the boar collapsed, writhing in its final moments before silence reclaimed the field. The hunt ended as quickly as it had begun. The result? A hunt more successful than anyone could have hoped for. This wild boar hunt wasn't just an ordinary hunting trip, it was a vital part of a broader effort to control and push back a threat that directly endangers agriculture. I took down my first wild hog right here in this forest 14 years ago. Back then, I was using my father's old rifle, hands trembling, missing the first 2 shots. And yet today, I'm back in the same place. The gear has changed. My experience has deepened. But the thrill of stepping into the woods, that stays exactly the same. The heavy rain 3 days ago had turned many forest roads into sticky mud bogs. But we had anticipated that, so the team moved in using a swamp buggy. While on the buggy, we took the chance to discuss strategy. The wind was blowing from the southeast, and in just about an hour, it could shift as the sun rose higher. Luckily, within the first 15 minutes, our target appeared. Nathaniel signaled to stop the vehicle, then calmly raised his rifle. The hog was only about 15 meters away, not a problem for him. A single, clean shot rang out. The target went down instantly. Right after that opening shot, we split up according to plan. I looped around downwind, taking cover behind a dense thicket that gave me a clear view ahead without revealing my position. The team formed a half-moon formation, closing in on a group of hogs peacefully foraging ahead of us. I raised my gun and squeezed the trigger. The hog dropped on the spot. About an hour later, we arrived at the trap site we'd set up the day before, a low-lying area thick with grass and shrubs, perfect for hogs to stop and feed. Just as we predicted, they were there. From a rocky outcrop overlooking the site, we saw the hogs nosing around the trap, unaware they were in our sights. A loud crack shattered the stillness. The spotted hog screamed, then quickly went limp. Just 10 minutes later, we reached the next ridge. As soon as we arrived, Nathaniel spotted a target. I sprinted to the opposite side to set up a blocking position. Bang! The hog bolted downhill, funneled into a narrow slope. One clean shot. My bullet struck its shoulder. On our way back down the mountain, I unexpectedly spotted another hog. A dark blur shot across the trail. So fast, I didn't even have time to react. After a successful hunt, we returned with the spoils piled on the vehicle. The meat was divided into smaller portions. The shoulder and ribs were set aside for a morning barbecue in the garden. That's the end of the video. What did you think of today's hunt? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to follow our next intense chase.
The short days in Greece have given me countless unforgettable experiences. One of them is the wild boar hunting trip in the Erymanthus Mountains in the freezing winter. Here, natural predators are becoming increasingly rare, causing the wild boar population to grow uncontrollably. I, along with a few friends, set out on this hunting trip. From this experience, I understood why the Greeks still keep the tradition of wild boar hunting as an integral part of their life. After a simple breakfast, we sat in a familiar vehicle and headed towards the Erymanthus Mountains in western Peloponnese. It was the wild boar mating season, so they were moving around more, providing favorable conditions for hunting. Thanks to the snow, we could easily track the boars' whereabouts. I closely followed their tracks, moving quickly as a feeling told me the prey was very near. And sure enough, a dark shape came rushing down from the opposite mountain slope. I fired in time, one clean shot. The boar fell and slid down the slope. However, I moved closer and fired another shot because, in the forest, certainty is always the most reliable companion. Not far from me, Gilbert was also in position, continuously firing when a whole herd of wild boars appeared unexpectedly. However, the boars weren't easy to handle. They ran like the wind, weaving through thick tree trunks in a maze-like manner. Even though Gilbert tried to stay close, it was really difficult to aim under these conditions, and in a blink of an eye, the entire herd vanished from sight as quickly as they had appeared. After about half an hour of moving, we had reached near the summit of the mountain. While still on the move, Gilbert and I noticed unusual movements from the trees beside us. Hunting instinct urged me to immediately raise my rifle and squeeze the trigger before the wild boar disappeared into the brush. And with just one shot, the target was neatly taken down. A quick, efficient shot, just the way I like it. Upon reaching the mountaintop, the air became even colder, and the snow beneath our feet grew thicker, but the sound of barking dogs echoed like a reminder that we couldn't stop. In the blink of an eye, a dark figure suddenly appeared. Gilbert steadied his rifle and fired a decisive shot. With the close distance, this time the boar couldn't escape. The race with the wild boars became more intense than ever before. Seizing every moment and every opportunity, we continued our hunt that afternoon. The hounds remained by our side, helping the team locate new targets. The snowstorm thickened, and we had to move down for safety. We set up a temporary small tent, and I sat waiting for my teammates to return. While sitting alone in the silence, the sound of the hounds and gunshots from afar woke me up to immediately raise my rifle. I aimed and fired decisively. The boar collapsed in the midst of the heavy snowfall. I had completed an unexpected hunt. The rain stopped, and under the gloomy sky, I still pressed on, looking for the last targets of the day. Hiding behind some wild branches, I silently observed the wild boar's movements. Waiting for it to reach the right position, I gently raised my rifle and took a decisive shot to end the chase. After the shot rang out, the wild boar fell, marking the end of this challenging hunting trip. The challenges we faced throughout the journey were not only about hunting, but also lessons in patience and determination. Thank you for joining us on this trip. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel.
The people of Lorraine, northeastern France, are all too familiar with the sight of wild boars being hunted. For them, wild boars are not ordinary wild animals. They are agricultural destroyers and carriers of dangerous diseases for livestock. Today, we, the people with the mission of controlling wild boars, carried out a large-scale sweep in the Darney Forest and exterminated a large number of harmful wild boars. In the vast forest, we split into small groups to patrol the wild boar tracks. While moving slowly, my friend Daniel stopped and whispered, "It seems like they are coming." Just a few seconds later, a herd of wild boars appeared just a few meters away from us. I quickly raised my gun and fired at the herd of wild boars. The sound of the gunshots seemed to tear the quiet atmosphere apart. Everything happened so quickly that I didn't know how many shots I fired. When the gunfire stopped, we saw several wild boars had been killed, including a very large one. Daniel guessed that it must have weighed more than 100 kilograms. Wild boars usually live in herds of up to dozens. Looking at such a large herd of wild boars, we were both excited and nervous. The shots rang out like thunder. The wild boars that hit lay down, the others tried to run away from the danger zone. Facing such a large herd of wild boars, it was difficult for us to accurately aim at each one. But with continuous shots, we were still able to kill more wild boars. In these vast hunting grounds, we could not do without the companionship of brave hunting dogs. Their task was to track the prey and chase it until it was exhausted. We often let the dogs roam freely in the forest, but we still had to listen for sounds to detect their location. There's a dog barking nearby. "Come on, buddy," Daniel said, walking quickly ahead, with us following closely behind him. "Oh my God, a giant wild boar," he exclaimed. The wild boar seemed to be exhausted, but it still aggressively tried to attack us. But I shot it down immediately.